Huntersville, North Carolina. Where is it? What's it all about? Why are people moving here? And why do I think that it's the most underrated suburb of Charlotte, North Carolina? Well, if you're moving to the area and you're trying to decide where to go, you've come to the right video. I'm going to dive in and give you a full map tour and overview of not only why Huntersville is a great location to live and work and play, but also some of the secret spots that have made it one of my favorites in Charlotte. If you're looking for everything Charlotte, the in, the out, the good, the bad, and everything in between, you have come to the right channel. Click that subscribe button, and if you wanted to stay on top of every single video that I post, hit that notification button, and we'll be sure to notify you every time I post a new video, keep you up to date on everything you didn't know you needed to know about Charlotte. Now, I get calls, texts, emails every single day for people just like you. Seriously, I do. I could show you my phone. And it's everybody that's moving to Charlotte, North Carolina, and they have questions about the area and want to know where they should be moving. Well, if that's you, if you're curious, whether it's 9 days or 90 days from now, whether you're moving across the country or just across town, shoot me a text, an email, give me a call, set up a Zoom, send up smoke signals. I want to make sure to help you have your move be exactly what you want it to be. So let's talk about the video today. We are going to dive in. I'm going to give you the nitty-gritty on Huntersville. This is going to be a map tour where I'm going to show you where to go, things to do, what it looks like, and we're going to talk important things such as commute times. So let's dive in and take a look at the map. All right, you guys, you know how this rolls, but if it is your first time here, I'm going to give you an overview of Charlotte in general, where we are. This way you know exactly what to expect. We're going to talk about commute times. We're going to talk about Huntersville and what I love about it. And more importantly, I'm going to give you an idea of how this town truly lays out. So as a whole, here's Charlotte, North Carolina, our little inner city right there. And everything within the 485 belt is going to be Charlotte proper. Now, as I've talked about in other videos, a lot of people like the south side of Charlotte. Reason being, there's a lot of shopping, entertainment, things going on, restaurants, you name it. But the downside to that is not only is there a ton of traffic and congestion, but you also have far higher prices for homes. Meanwhile, you can get the same home on the north side of Charlotte, just inside or outside of 45, for far less, or more home for the same price. I'm a person that likes a bigger bang for my buck, and I don't mind driving a little bit to get to those restaurants, bars, etc. So we're going to talk about today Huntersville, North Carolina. So Huntersville sits just north of the 45 belt line. As you can see, it kind of stretches out. I'll pull this up here so you can see the actual outskirts or outline of it. So this is Huntersville right here. So Huntersville kind of crosses over, it does cross over the I-77 interchange right here, which, by the way, this particular road, I-77, does have a toll lane that is optional. So the reason I point that out is a lot of people are not sure if they want to live a certain spot because they don't like the traffic. Well, here's another bonus to living up on the north side. This whole southern stretch of I-77 right here does not have an optional toll lane, which means you're going to sit in traffic, and you will, because that's where the traffic sits on I-77 is right there. So if there is traffic up this way, which there can be, you do have the option to skip it all the way into town, which is great. So Huntersville, as you can see here, like I said, it borders underneath Lake Norman, largest man-made lake on the East Coast, by the way. I had someone ask just yesterday, what do we think about Lake Norman? I love Lake Norman. Few reasons. One, it's nice and big. 2, easy access for boating. 3, you can rent boats if you want to. 4, plenty of dining on Lake Norman. And one of my favorites, number 5, I don't like cold water. I don't. I grew up in the north. I don't care. I'm a surfer. I like warm water. And here's the cool thing. You will get warm water in Lake Norman. Why? Because Lake Norman heat is the cooling for 2 different power plants, one on the north side and one on the south side. So no, you're not going to get radiation. There's steam. A lot of them, it's steam. So it's just allowing those to cool off. But when it puts out the water again, it keeps that water warmer. So you could be swimming in Lake Norman all the way from May through October. It's a little bit nippier in May, but not by comparisons to those up in New York or in the northern side. It is not nearly that cold. So I believe we were out there early May, first week in May actually, and the water temperature was 74 degrees, which is pretty darn toasty. So I am happy with that. So as we keep looking over here, we're going to notice that it also flanks this little waterway here. What is this? So this is Mountain Island Lake. So there's a dam right up here, and then this leads down into Mountain Island Lake. Now, right next to this is going to be a lot of plantation or preserve right here, and another nature preserve over here called Rural Hill. Now, the cool thing about both of these, they do have a lot of opportunities for you to take, let's say, the kids out, or heck, you can go out. It's fun. So we've got old buildings and things of that nature that you can go out and take a look at. Plenty of walking trails. You name it, it's out there. In addition, they do a ton of festivals. So you've got the Highland Games that go on out there. They've got animals. Great spot to go out for a weekend or a day, should I say. And Mountain Island Lake is also boatable. So yes, you can rent a boat and take it out there, which is awesome. So let's go back to Huntersville as a whole. Why do I love this area? Well, as you noticed, there's plenty of outdoors things to do, which is great. But I want to talk again a little bit about the location. So if we zoom out again here, right in this area, you are on the northern side of 45, but you're decently close to not only hit 77, 45, but also I-85, which runs this way. So if you do a lot of commuting or driving, or whether you're going across the state or maybe just out to the beach or up to the mountains, you are cutting out a ton of time than if you were down in these areas, because then you have to get out of this area to an interstate, then get to your final location. So if you do a good bit of travel, this is a great spot to be. In addition to that, if you're commuting from Huntersville into downtown Charlotte, you can do it in about 25 minutes, which is pretty awesome. Now, let's say you're going to be down in this way, down in the South Park area. If you're commuting down there, it depends upon what time of day. But in most cases, you can get there in about 35 minutes, which is really great. Now, let's see if you're going to be down here. Now, Ballantyne, I'm going to zoom in here. Ballantyne has one of the largest business parks. In fact, it was one of the largest sales more recently in recent history, commercial-wise. They sold the business park down in Ballantyne. You can see it's quite large. But the corporate complex was actually sold just a few years ago. Here's the thing. It wasn't going away. It's just under new management. But there are a lot of businesses in this area, meaning a lot of corporations are going to have you moving, living, or at least working in that area. So a lot of people that call me, they're moving into this southern area because of that. But here's the thing. You can get a much bigger, much nicer house with, in my opinion, more spread out, I'm not going to call it rural, but more of a country feel with all of the benefits of the city by going to Huntersville and just commuting. Now, your commute could either be 77 or 485 around this way. Personally, most of the time, I'll take 45. I live right up in this area up here. I'll take 485 down because there's usually far less traffic and the speed limit is 70 instead of 55 on I-77. Not that that means much. So when taking that route, you're probably looking anywhere between 35 to a 50-minute drive, depending upon what time of day, as well as your route. So I've made it down there in 30 minutes. Some people, depending on traffic, could take up to 45 to 50 minutes. It just depends. It also depends how deeply into Huntersville you are. Now, if you're right off I-77, boom, quick shot. If you're over in this way, you're gonna have to take some other little side roads to get to the major interstate to make that drive. But as a whole, it's pretty close. Now, if you are having to shoot anywhere north or perhaps out east, there's still easy ways to get there. So you don't have to come all the way into an interstate to make that drive. In fact, you've got 73 that runs over this way. You can take a few back roads, which I do quite often. There's a lot of options there. Now, what if I-77 is a disaster, but you don't want to take the toll lane? Well, there's also a road that runs parallel to this. I'm going to zoom in real quick. 21, otherwise known as Statesville Road or Old Statesville Road, which if you come over here, there we go, Old Statesville. Now it's popping up right here. So you've got two different routes, Old Statesville Road or Statesville Road. So Old Statesville was the original road, then they built Statesville Road, then they built I-77 coming right down next to it. So it flanks it pretty much all the way into the city, as you can see. So there's a few different routes for you to get into town. Why do I find this important? Because traffic is a thing. Now, I brought up traffic like 6 or 7 times, so you're probably freaking out at this point that there's a ton of traffic. I grew up in New York. This is nowhere near New York traffic. Now, when I'm talking about traffic is a couple of bumper, you might actually be held up for a few minutes, but you're gonna get there pretty quickly, which is a good thing. So Huntersville is a bomb. So let's talk about a couple of the little areas. Right in here, you have a neighborhood called Vermillion. Now, I love Vermillion. It is still expanding, which is wonderful, but the homes are going to be in the 500s range or north of that. Now, off to the north here, you have Northstone Country Club. Now, all of this has been built out, kind of started building in the mid-2000s, or early 2000s, should I say. Homes are gorgeous, and as you can see, there's a golf club, which is phenomenal. Now, you're also probably noticing all this green. Yes, these are all parks, all places that you can go to hang out, stretch your legs, go for a run. Now, I'm going to point out 𝗖𝘁brook, but it's not a part of Huntersville, but it's right there. So it's kind of considered that Charlotte, Huntersville, Concord area. But 𝗖𝘁brook also is a golf club, and their homes are going to be north of the $600,000 range. So just to give you an idea. Now, let's talk about a little bit of shopping. There's two main spots where you would go. One is going to be this one right here. So this is off of Gilead Road. This is going to be smaller shopping. So you've got your Publix supermarket, you've got some restaurants, chiropractors, things of that nature. And this is going to be on the left side of the interstate, which let's unhighlight that, shall we? There we go. This is going to be on the left side of the interstate here. So a lot of shopping. The hospital is also right here, so easy and quick to get to. Now, to the right side is Old Huntersville. So this is that old area of Huntersville. You've got it right off of Statesville Road. You zoom in, there's some really great spots. There's a little Pizza's House Slice. I think this is the second of my favorite pizza places in Charlotte, and I have New York standards. So this is one of my favorites. You can get pizza by the slice. It's delicious. There's some great little coffee shops, some restaurants, Main Street Cafe. Highly recommend, where is it? Mamma Mia. Delicious. And 760 Craftworks just opened. So that's a brewery, because you know we love our brew. In addition to that, there's the craft beer guys right here. That's a mouthful. But they do have sitting outside where you can go sit outside, drink a beer, hang out. So it's definitely a location where you can get some really interesting beers from not only in Charlotte, but in North Carolina and the surrounding areas. So it's pretty cool. It's a fun little hangout. And you guys know I love beer. And if you don't, you now know. But Charlotte has a ton of beer. I think we have about 68 breweries in the area, which is crazy. So coming right back over here, we've also got an Aldi and a few other things. Now, as you head up Statesville Road, there's also a lot of businesses up in this area. All right. Now, you're going to see there's a lot of intersecting roads here. There's a ton of neighborhoods and houses. Now, the next big one is right up here. This is your next big turnoff. Or turnoff of I-77, not a negative. So you've got the North Mecklenburg Park right over here. And then again, Primal Brewing. I told you we love breweries. But what I want to point out is just about anything you would want is right here. You've got Home Depot, Lowe's, the shopping center, which has one of my favorite coffee shops, which there's several of them. But Water Bean Coffee, in my opinion, best coffee in Charlotte. There's a few locations all around. And Link and Pin. This one is a secondary location, but they have one of the best steaks I've ever had in my life. Like, my husband still talks about this steak. But I'll also point out you've got other things over here, such as your Harris Teeters and Target, all within here, Kohl's. And over here, you've got other things such as, Marshalls and Home Goods, Petco. So a ton of shopping. Now over here, on the other side, you've got, again, nice grocery shopping, Whole Foods, Viva Chicken, one of my favorite places for Peruvian chicken. But the biggest spot is going to be Birkdale Village. Now, this is the village proper. This is where all the shopping is and everything like that. Really nice restaurants that are in here as well, but just some fun little spots to stick in. So they've got, if I can zoom all the way in, Morella ice cream. I did a video on this just the other day. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like an ice pop, but it's delicious. And you could put toppings on it and everything else. It's a cool little spot. If you want to go out, just walk around for the afternoon or even bring the kids out, it's a great spot to go. But Birkdale Village is also a neighborhood. So this whole area in here is Birkdale. That's what they call it. Now, what I love about this is the proximity to Lake Norman. So you've got shopping, you've got the lake, you've got restaurants, but pretty much everything else within here are a ton of neighborhoods. So all of this is easy. You get easy access to shopping in 2 different locations. Easy access to the interstate, easy access to the lake, easy access to the mountains. You can shoot it right up 16 and go north up to the mountains. All of that is going to be an option for you and an opportunity. So I'll also point out Blythe Landing is one of the most popular spots to launch your boat. There is no fee to do so, and there's also a park there. So you can go enjoy the lake, just sitting at the park bench, whatever you want to do. And I believe they also have some jungle gyms, which is fun. So Huntersville as a whole, I know I gave you a very high arched view of this. Your average price point is going to be within the 500s, so it's about between, well, average would be about 537. But the homes up here are 2,500 square feet or more, so you're going to get a pretty decent sized house. Many of them are newer, depends upon where you are and the size and all that, but I do feel like you get way more for a home here than you would in any other part of Charlotte. So hopefully this answered some of your questions about Huntersville. I love it personally, in case you can't tell. I'm truly excited because I love this area. But if you have questions or anything, feel free to ask and I will do an even deeper dive. So Huntersville as a whole, it is a win for me on all sides. Now, if you want to be in the thick of it when it comes to shopping and restaurants and all of that and have that surrounding you, maybe South Charlotte's a better option. What I love about Huntersville as a whole is it's affordable. There is a plethora of just what I feel like nature. You're in nature and the lot sizes are pretty good size and the pricing is affordable. That's right, you get a lot of house for a decent price and there's still new construction going on. So if you've got questions, comments, drop them below. I'd love to hear from you, and be sure to make sure to like and subscribe. I want to make sure to bring you more content, more information all about Charlotte. So like I always say, whether it's 9 days or 90 days, whether you're across the country or just across town, give me a call, a text, an email, any way to reach out, and I want to make your move exactly what you want it to be. Until next time, I look forward to showing you around town.